KayFabe Smark Podcast. Welcome to the KayFabe Smark Podcast with Eric Todd and Brian Rampa, your smart mark source for news and opinions on the world of professional wrestling.
Hey, what is going on, guys? This is February 3rd, 2022. We're coming at you live. This is episode 89. 89 creeping up on us. Make sure you guys get on over to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Hit the like and subscribe notifications when we go live. It's Thursday nights when we do this. 9:30, 10 o'clock, somewhere in that time frame. But that's the business. We're here to talk about WWE's Royal Rumble. But before we get into all of that, let's check in with Mr. Eric Todd and see what's happening in his world. Eric, what is happening?
Oh, you know, same old, dealing with some crazy weather up here in Michigan. We got probably about 10 or 12 inches of snow, and then my pipes froze for 3 days, so I was forced to go to Planet Fitness to take a shower. It was a nightmare, Brian.
Oh, yes, I can only imagine. Luckily, my pipes did not freeze. My kids have just been out of school and around the house driving me absolutely batty, so that's been the life around here. And then I take off from a new job, got a new gig. I take off to Florida tomorrow, so I'll be enjoying the sunny weather of Florida for 10 days. So that does mean we will probably be absent next week. But unless Eric decides to go live and do something solo himself, we'll probably be...
You never know.
You never know. Stay tuned. Keep your ears peeled and your eyes on the prize. But, Eric, do you have news for us?
I do have a little bit of news for us, so go ahead and slap that ticker, Brian Rampa, and I will pull it up here.
You know what it is. It's episode 89, damn it. We've been doing this for long enough. It's the news. We're coming at you hot. Let's see what Eric has found out there on the dirt sheets. Eric, what do you got?
All right, so we will talk about the Royal Rumble on this week's episode, and one of the big stories with the Women's Royal Rumble was the return of Lita. And Lita, not just a one-time gig for her, she has made a challenge to Becky Lynch for the Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia, and Lita wants a title shot. She wants Becky Lynch's Raw Women's title.
Well, didn't see that coming, did you?
I did not. I thought the Royal Rumble would be one and done, and I guess not. I guess she's I don't know if she's necessarily trying to pull an edge, but she's definitely trying to milk this and get a few paydays out of it.
I mean, why not? If they're willing to write the check, I'll cash them. Especially with Elimination Chamber being in Saudi Arabia, they're really going to have to reach into their bag of tricks, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania style, to get this to pop off big overseas. This is they don't do very many of these overseas or out of the country, and this is a big one. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm sure her payday will be a lot bigger in Saudi Arabia than it would if she was wrestling Becky Lynch in Biloxi, Mississippi, or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, them Saudis love their legends.
Why not go over there and get a big payday? I mean, look what Undertaker cashed in and announced at the Pitbull thing last year, or earlier this year, whatever, before he retired. He's like, "This is Pitbull." Here's $10 million.
And how clueless can one person be? News, Brian. Jade Cargill spoke recently about her winning streak being compared to Goldberg's undefeated streak in WCW, and I quote, "It's amazing. It feels great being that I have no type of wrestling background prior to my first match on March 3rd. It's breathtaking. It feels amazing to me to be compared to somebody of such stature. I'm blessed. Our owner, Tony Khan, he put me in a remarkable position, and I'm grateful. I work hard, but I'm very grateful." How this right over her head that she thinks being compared to Goldberg is a good thing, when it's basically just saying, yeah, you can't wrestle for shit, and you were just handed the golden ticket by the owner of the company. congratulations, you dumbass.
Yeah, we'll just put you over because that's what we think is good for our business, not good for the business.
Yeah. You didn't do anything. It wasn't your stellar wrestling performance. You aren't a prodigy
Yeah.
right off the gate. Your
This
name's
isn't
not Jade Hart.
yeah, this isn't somebody like Brett who wasn't supposed to be the guy. Like there's always the story of Bret Hart was never supposed to be the champion, right? He was never supposed to lead the company the way he did. But he just kept proving himself, and when they gave him the opportunities, he ran with it, and it was like, all right, I guess you're the guy. Just put it on
Yeah.
Brett. He's there. And there it is. So, that's a guy that proved himself. Jade is somebody that was like, hey, you got an interesting look. It could have been.
You're a champion now.
That was the equivalent. Like, they could have slapped did that with China back in the day, and she could have just, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just a different than your normal women, and whatever. She's an idiot. Like you said, in your head in the clouds news.
Yeah. They're the released superstars from WWE, the ones who were let go in November 2021. As of, I believe it was yesterday, maybe the day before, they have become free agents, Brian. Their no compete clauses have expired. The main roster stars that are now 100% free agents are Karrion Kross, Nia Jax, Keith Lee, Mia Yim, Ember Moon, Davey Boy Smith Jr., Horny Lorcan, Grand Metallic,
Oh, yeah.
Lance Dorado. We're going to go through ones that I actually know. Frankie Monet, B-Fab, Scarlett Bordeaux, so she goes hand in hand with Karrion Kross, Jessie Camilla, blah, blah, blah. And then NXT wrestlers who are free agents out of that group are Horny Lorcan, Monet, Baxter, Camilla, Rama, Ramira, and Cortez. So, yeah, nice big slew of wrestlers no longer under their no compete clauses. So it'll be interesting to see the ink fly in the next couple weeks here and see where some of these guys land up.
Yeah, they're going to start writing some contracts. You've got Ring of Honor will be rebooting in April. They've been announcing it that the Supercard of Honor is happening, so they're going to need talent there. They're going to need talent in Impact. And they will sign people where they don't need talent in AEW. But not my problem, not my money.
Some of the biggest news in wrestling this week was Shane O'Mac, who just made his return at the 2022 Royal Rumble, has been quietly let go from WWE. Let go is the term Vince McMahon himself is using around the compound there. Shane was catching loads of heat backstage during and after the 2022 Royal Rumble. Apparently, he booked the Rumble and booked it pretty much just around himself. And he was openly burying producer Jamie Noble. So Shane went in there a little bit selfish, wanting to make himself look good. And we'll report on more of that later on when we talk about the Rumble itself. But WWE had plans for Shane McMahon after the Royal Rumble. Those have obviously been scrapped and has been quietly let go. Let's see here. And since then, Brian, there's been rumors. I wouldn't put much merit behind them. I don't see this actually happening, but a lot of people are saying that Shane McMahon could end up in AEW.
I've seen, the wrestling memes have been going rampant through Twitter and the likes of the social media, and lots of Shane McMahon is all elite, soon to be all elite. Shane McMahon and da 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 da. And I just think he'll go do something else. He'll go work on his PGA pay-per-view thing that he was doing in China or whatever it was he was doing for all those years when he disappeared from WWE. I mean, he can go do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I don't see Shane just spitting right in his dad's face in that aspect. But there is a quote here that says, people in WWE are letting me know that someone should warn Tony Khan what he's in for if he brings Shane in, because the sense of entitlement and I don't know if ego is the right word, that Shane would bring along with him in a company that isn't WWE would probably be amplified compared to how he was acting on Saturday, which was basically out of control. So pretty much saying if he goes to a smaller company, he's going to
Take it over.
be an entitled little shit and want to take over the whole damn thing.
Impact should get him over there and just give it to him. Give him
Yeah.
here, come on in. They should sell him a chunk
Just
of
put
it.
your name on it. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, like he's got to have better connections than the Outdoor Network or wherever you got to watch Impact at these days, wherever the show's on, like for a TV deal or something. But I don't think he's gonna go do anything. That's some way out there in the left field news.
Yeah. In little brother news, Sean Waltman, aka Six, aka the 123 Kid, aka X-Pac, recently spoke with Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrasso, where he revealed that he offered himself to be available for the Royal Rumble, but was ultimately turned down. The quote from X-Pac is as follows: "As far as the Royal Rumble, I gave them a heads up I'd be ready if they wanted me. I wasn't actively campaigning for it. I wasn't going to do that, but I let them know, and I guess they weren't interested. I guess they just never called old Pac-a-Lock there."
I'm always an X-Pac fan. I wouldn't have minded, X-Pac. Hear the music kick on and his entrance, come in, get his spin kicks in, get the shit in, and get eliminated. Hey, that was fun.
Right. I think he could have brought a little more excitement to that Rumble. I wasn't too thrilled about it, but yeah, X-Pac definitely could have brought some nostalgia, brought some action, and I think he's still in great shape for his age.
Yeah, I think
Not like you're getting Kevin Smash in there with his robot knees.
I think part of it is they're kind of burying that era of wrestling, and you're gonna get Pac coming out, X-Pac, and he's gonna be crotch chopping and doing his thing and doing the Too Sweet and the Wolf Pack and the everything else, and that comes with being the character that he created. And when you're trying to sell to Disney, that's not it, man.
Yeah, good point there. Good point there, Brian. WWE announced that the Usos will be putting their tag team titles on the line against the Viking Raiders in Saudi Arabia at Elimination Chamber. So far, we have 3 matches confirmed, booked for the Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia. We are going to see Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins versus Austin Theory versus Matt Riddle versus AJ Styles versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship. And that sounds like an AEW match.
At least that's the Elimination Chamber match, right?
Yeah, it must be. That's it. Kind of. Oh boy, I just had a brain fart right there, Brian. What it's like to be 40. It just sounded like a 5-way match to me.
I'm like, that's got to be the Elimination Chamber match itself.
And then we will have a Raw Women's title match. We're going to have Lita versus Becky Lynch, which we just talked about. And then you'll have the Usos taking on the Viking Raiders.
Well, I'm glad to hear the Viking Raiders are still employed. I did not know that.
I had no clue. But other than that, pretty slow news week besides the events going on, which we're going to get into. And did you hear anything else, Brian?
Yeah, I got
any news across your desk.
I did. I got texted a little thing from our good buddy Andrew, and it says, report Goldberg returning to WWE, set to compete at WrestleMania 38.
Oh, boy. Against who? Undertaker?
I didn't get into the article yet. It literally, as I was setting up for the show here, it came through and had a quick conversation, and Andrew's like, I said, yeah, this sucks. He said, here's the planning meeting. Should we put Goldberg in the Mania main event? Let's put Goldberg in the Mania main event. Like, it was as simple as that, right? Hey, I think we should do that. Let's do that. And I said, with the likes of Seth, KO, et cetera, and so on, you get Oldberg that comes in and just walks in and gets a spot. You've got, and then he responds back, yeah, basically the same thing with, you could put Pete Dunne, LA Knight, et cetera, and so on. Not in the main event spot, maybe, but there's lots of spots that these guys could be worked into, and they're going to get sidelined in catering. because Oldberg's in town for WrestleMania, so they're gonna work him into a main event spot of some kind, or high on the card at least.
I mean, it's 2 nights, right? I imagine each night's at
Oh.
least 3 hours.
That's right. I
So,
forgot it's part A,
with
part B.
6 hours of matches. I'm sure everyone who deserves a spot pretty much is going to be worked in there, and then they just had room for Oldberg left over. It seems like.
Yeah, but it just the Goldberg thing. I'm so over the Legends thing coming back, or these walk on, classic, whatever you want to call them, classic wrestlers, legend wrestlers, old school wrestlers that just get to pop in one time off and like walk into a main event. Like, come on, these guys are out here every Monday, Friday, Tuesdays breaking their backs, and you've just been chilling and then show up. It sucks. Doesn't make sense to me. I don't care. Goldberg isn't my draw.
Well, with that little piece of information, I think that wraps it up on the news there.
Eric sold me on the news at the end there. He goes, well, fuck it. All right, there you go. That's the news, people. Goldberg's coming back. The Elimination Chamber's got about 3 matches so far, and the Viking Raiders are still employed, so life is good. And Lita, well, she wants to stick around, at least for the Elimination Chamber. And now we're going to move on and play a little game. Eric's got up the overrated, underrated. It's kind of a mix of something, so it's like a would you rather more, to be honest with you. I probably should have told you that in advance, but it does not really matter. Oh, look at that. He's as quick on the draw as can be. If you guys aren't watching this on the video element, get your game tight. We're going to play a little would you rather. And we are going to do erase one from history is the would you rather today. Erase one from history.
All right. I'm good at this. I'm a negative Nancy when it comes to wrestling nowadays, Brian. So I'm ready to get the big pink eraser out and eliminate some names.
Would you rather erase from history Sasha Banks or Becky Lynch?
Ooh. I used to be a big Becky Lynch mark, and I don't know. I just like the badass gimmick that she had going on. But after the whole thing with, I'm at the very top of the WWE women's division, and I'm just gonna go have a baby now, and just gonna go ahead and leave. And then now her trying to be a heel, but pretty much just ripping off everything Charlotte Flair does. You see the real range belongs to the boss, Sasha Banks. So sorry, big time Bex, you'd have to go.
All right, he's made his decision. Would you rather erase from history? This one's gonna hurt. Would you rather erase from history Chris Jericho or Kurt Angle?
Oh man, this is one where if they would have both left in their prime and they would have both just disappeared or went into the podcast world or whatever, it would be a tougher decision. But since Jericho has just been sticking around and just been leeching off anybody who has any type of stardom and has just brought the goofiest, gimmickiest shit he can think of over to AEW, sorry, Chris, but everything good you did, even that match with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, was at 19 or 18 at Safeco.
I think it was 19.
19. Sorry, Chris. You got to go Angle all the way.
Angle all day. All right. Would you rather erase from history Jeff Hardy or Matt Hardy?
Matt Hardy. I fucking hate Matt Hardy. I will buy Jeff Hardy a drink to console him for his missing brother, but delete Matt Hardy.
Well then, would you rather erase from history Bryan Danielson or AJ Styles?
Oh man, I was a huge AJ Styles mark when he was in Impact, and just the goody two shoes gimmick that he lives in real life, and then just who he is in WWE. It just nothing really gripped me. There was never the it factor where I am excited to see a AJ Styles match. So Brian Danielson has always anything he does, I seem to have some sort of interest in. So yeah, I would keep Brian Danielson and I would go ahead and erase AJ Styles.
All right, one last one here. Would you rather erase from history Hulk Hogan or Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Ooh.
That's a tough one.
Oh man. You wonder what the 80s would have been like without Hogan, don't you?
Would there have
been
been
strange.
would there have been able to be a Stone Cold Steve Austin? Would there have been a business?
Yeah, man. I think I'm going to have to go with erasing Stone Cold on this one because Stone Cold also existed with The Rock. So any superstar dust that was left floating around in the WWE arena, if Stone Cold just poofed into thin air, I think The Rock could have soaked that all up. Sprinkle some Randy Orton in there, some Batista, and I think there was enough stardom in that era to go around to where you would just had a ton of megastars anyway. Hogan was the babyface and completely changed the face of the game for the 80s and 90s. So got to keep Hogan, got to erase Stone Cold.
Well, there you go. That's our Would You Rather. Who would you erase from the history books? And now we're going to move on and talk about the Royal Rumble. We talking about Royal Rumble? Is that where we're at?
We're talking about the Royal Rumble, Brian.
All right, it's right there. I got confused for a half a second. We're always talking about AEW over here, and my brain wanted to go right to AEW, but we ain't talking about much AEW today. We're going to hit the Royal Rumble. So we start this thing off hot with a little Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns.
Yeah, this is for the Universal title. And yeah, coming off hot. If you don't go on last, you want to go on first. So we start this thing off. Roman Reigns just taking, geez, his entrance felt like it took 15 minutes. I was dying. He's just walking so slow. How come everything Roman Reigns has to do has to be slow and methodical?
I don't know. He's trying to pick up where The Undertaker left off. Except it made sense with The Undertaker. It had been so long, like that slow stroll and the music and everything. But Roman Reigns, I don't get why that's his new thing. But it is.
It is. So Roman Reigns, after about an hour and a half, makes his way to the ring. And then Brian, the camera's searching the arena. You got 40,000 people. Where could he be? Where could he be? He's somewhere in the audience, and we find Seth Rollins in the audience, dressed in his Shield garb from back in the day. You know, he's been bringing back the nostalgia, name dropping Mox and whatnot. And Seth Rollins in full Shield garb, and makes his way down to the ring. And then we're about to get this thing popping.
Yeah, that music hits the Sierra Hotel Echo Libra or whatever it is, spell Shield Delta, and it was like, oh man. So the mind games that Seth was playing, you know, it was pretty good. I like that, you know, that pull it back, and especially because he was the one that broke the Shield up, right, back in the old, in what, 6-7 years ago there, when he hit Roman with the chair in the back and blah blah blah. So I liked it. I liked the entrance. It was a different entrance and change it up and see that old school vibe. He even did the little flip over the rail that he would do. He would do that jump and tuck and roll over into the ring, and it was pretty good. But yeah, they got this thing started, and he even wore the garb the entire time. I didn't think he was going to keep that on, wrestling in that flak jacket vest thing or whatever it was they wear.
Yeah, he kept it going. And the name of the game in this match, Brian, was psychology. I mean, it was a good match action-wise. Starting things off, Rollins just with a super high energy offense starting this thing off, capping off a huge slew of offensive moves with 2 suicide dives. Amazing how in this company they're called suicide dives. But you go down to Jacksonville and they're all of a sudden They don't speak English anymore. They're tope suicidas.
Tope suicida over the ropes. Yes, suicide dives. Rollins psychology was not Rollins psychology. Seth. Wait, where am I at here? Who the hell am I talking about?
Well, the psychology was all there.
Seth Rollins.
With Roman Reigns.
I got tongue-tied there. Seth Rollins' psychology was on point. Yes, sorry. My brain got tied up with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. The R's were tongue-tying me, and I had a complete brain fart there.
The guy with long, dark hair and wearing all black.
Yeah.
That guy.
Sorry, I got confused.
The guy wearing combat boots and black outfit. Yeah, there used to be a rule back in the day. I just remember this. Cornette was talking about this, where back in the day, you couldn't, if the heel and the babyface couldn't even wear the same color tights. And now these guys are both coming out with long, wet black hair and wearing all black and both wearing work boots.
Yeah, it was a bit confusing, and because Roman's garb hasn't changed much since the Shield. He dropped the jacket or the bulletproof vest or whatever it was that he wore, and Seth has been all over the place with his gear. So then seeing him back in that, it was different. But the psychology was on. They were telling a good story. It was a pretty good fight. There was more offense in this match than we got from in any other Roman Reigns match, right? All the other Roman Reigns matches were dominated by Roman Reigns. So there was actually offense from the opponent towards Roman Reigns, which was something that was different that we've seen in past matches over the last, almost 2 years?
Yeah, and that was, so like I said, the name of the game was psychology in this thing, with Seth Rollins laughing and mocking Roman Reigns talking to himself, not being able to know how to handle it. But as far as the action goes, this thing was almost dominated by Seth Rollins, and thank God, because that kept things moving at a faster pace. After those two tope suicidas here, it looks like Roman's going to take over, and you kind of like, oh man, we just went from high energy, fast moves, and now we're going to slow it down. But Rollins just, bam, snaps it right back into action by countering a Superman punch into a shield bomb.
Yes.
Because it can't just be a power bomb. The announcers have to lose their minds and call it a shield bomb. Shield bomb through the announcing table. We're 20 minutes into a 4-hour pay-per-view, Brian, and the announce table is already just smashed and out of commission.
Kaputs. The shield bomb thing drove me bananas. It was like, the shield bomb was when all three of them gave a power bomb. When one hoisted up the guy and the other two helped spike him onto the ground. I would call that a shield bomb. One guy giving a power bomb through a table, I think that's just called a power bomb.
But he's wearing a flak jacket, Brian,
so
it's a shield bomb.
Oh, you silly. You got me. I'm a silly goose. I forgot all the details there.
This thing's really ramping up, making it look like Rollins has a chance here. Seth Rollins hitting the big splash right in the middle of the ring. Seth Rollins hitting a buckle bomb and a curb stomp and getting a measly 2 count on Roman here. At this point in the match, Seth Rollins has been on fire.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns has gotten in about 3 offensive moves at this point in the match.
They got me in this spot here with the buckle bomb followed by the curb stomp. I thought it was going to be wrapped up right there. I literally thought, I'm like, wow, this is it. They're going to hand the title over to Seth. And Roman's taking, he's going to, leave and go learn a new move, or he's got to go home or something. But no, that wasn't it. But they got me there. It did give me oh my God, I can't believe he's going to lose.
Yeah. They kind of had me too. The element of surprise. WWE still has some decent bookers working in there. But after that 2 count, Roman Reigns gets back into it with a clothesline and a power bomb and gets a 2 count on Seth Rollins here. And then
these are names are going to burn us up through this match talking about this one and breaking it down, because it got you tied up for a second. Roman Rollins, Seth Raymond.
Everybody loves Raymond, Brian. But things slow down when Roman takes over, and I audibly said, "Oh no," because this is when Roman Reigns just starts talking to himself, and he just, "Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do," and it's just I can't stand that gimmick. I love his cockiness. I love how he is better than everyone he's around. I love how he forces people to acknowledge him, but the whole talking to himself gimmick, it just drives me nuts.
Yes. Yeah, because you never saw him do anything like that before. It's not like he's trying to be where he has carrying so much pressure and he's going to break under the pressure and he's buckling and talking to himself, and he doesn't, he's never been like a nervous character, right? He's been smooth, calm, cool, and collected. But now he gets a guy that gives him a little bit of offense, and he's like, I don't know what to do. I got to talk to myself in the corner. It's just a weird thing that didn't fit the character. When Mankind would talk to himself, that made sense. He was supposed to be a lunatic that wore an ugly mask and lived in the bowels of the building, right?
Always lived in the boiler room with his pet rat.
So the methodical portion of this match, though, didn't bother me so much when they get into Roman, because you had been given so much energy with Seth being in charge for a while that the mix and the balance of the two worked well for me. Instead of getting somebody that he was fighting and it never changed, and it was always a slow, methodical ass whooping of Roman Reigns for 15 minutes. It's like, this doesn't make any sense. But you got some dives from Seth and everything else in between.
Yeah, so you do get some action mixed in with the methodicalness here. Seth Rollins getting Roman into a triangle choke, Roman powering out of that. We love to see Roman Reigns' power on display. Gets out of a triangle choke by power bombing Seth Rollins. That one wasn't a shield bomb, by the way.
Because I don't think it went through a table. The table, I think, is where it was at. Because they always power bombed as a group through a table.
We get some fighting on the outside, and things you feel them starting to ramp up as Roman hits a Superman punch, gets a near fall. Spear from Roman Reigns on the outside. Reigns attempts a spear on the inside of the ring. Seth Rollins turns it into a pedigree, and we actually get a mention of Triple H from the commentary team here, because Triple H is the man who convinced Seth Rollins to turn on the Shield.
Yeah, and gave him the pedigree, kind of passed the torch over to run with that and use that move. So all of that and the Triple H being involved on maybe coming back, maybe a little on-screen something being teased for Triple H.
Yeah, I would love to see it. I mean, he's not very busy with NXT anymore, so
him and Shane are going to AEW.
I would love to see it. We get a devastating spear from Roman Reigns here, and Seth Rollins is just laughing at Roman Reigns, mocking him, and this is deep into the match, Brian, and Seth Rollins still managing to laugh at Roman Reigns, and that's where the psychology is kicking in. And Roman Reigns is acting and is so convincing. This guy's he's a great worker. I love it.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily like the biggest Roman Reigns guy, but his matches do draw me in when he's wrestling. But if you were to say like the marquee guy that draws me in, it's not Roman at the moment. But I do enjoy his work that he puts in. He pisses me off enough that I want to watch him fight and maybe get beat up. That type of hate.
Right, and to touch on what you said, yeah, when Roman Reigns on a pay-per-view isn't what makes me tune into the Peacock, but he manages to make you lose yourself in the match. Like, you're just watching him and you feel his frustration and you think he's really frustrated with Seth Rollins laughing at him. But when you kind of take a step back and realize these guys are pretty good friends and they put this match together, it's like, holy shit, you're working that pretty good. Hats off to you, Mr. Reigns.
Yeah, I was impressed with both of these guys. Like, I was actually very happy with this match up till pushing around this point when we started to get a little bumble fucking going on.
Yeah, this is we're approaching the end here. Roman Reigns gets a guillotine on Seth Rollins here. Seth Rollins reaching for the ropes, and Seth Rollins approaching the point of passing out. The referee raises his hand and drops it. Seth Rollins' hand lands on the rope. He grabs the rope. Roman Reigns refuses to release the guillotine and is subsequently disqualified. And I kind of like it at this point, Brian, that Roman Reigns is so frustrated, so annoyed that he sacrificed getting a easy victory, or what seemed like it would be an easy victory at this point over Seth Rollins. He sacrificed that victory just to punish Seth Rollins for mocking him.
Yeah, but you've built up something for a couple weeks now, and you put it on the pay-per-view, the Royal Rumble special. What do they call them now? They're not pay-per-views, right? They said it too.
Something premium live event.
Premium live event of the Royal Rumble. You know, a huge stadium sellout thing going down, and you just get a disqualification. I wouldn't have mind if they went that far and disqualified him, and then Seth grabs the mic and he's like, no, it's not ending like this. You know, get back in here. We're going to finish this. And they convince the referees, or they convince the to turn the match around and restart it, and Roman Reigns could still win. That would have been fine. But just to end it like that just seemed lazy to me. I didn't care for it.
And I'll tell you what's lazy. So after the DQ, this is where Roman Reigns, he just goes completely blank face, and he loses all emotion, grabs a chair, proceeds to hit Seth Rollins roughly 20 times with a chair, and the cameraman's giving me nausea at this point, because every time the chair hit Seth Rollins, the camera zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out, and it's the movie style camera work that WWE does on strikes and with hits with objects. Jeez, it just fucking kills me, Brian.
It reminds me of The Biggest Loser. Remember watching The Biggest Loser? And like they would show these super overweight people like jumping up and down doing jumping jacks, and then they would shake the camera. So they like it was like Godzilla like chasing him down. It was like a T-Rex from Jurassic Park, and it was like, these poor people are going to lose. But that's that same idea. Like they try to sell the impact, and part of that, I think, what they're trying to do is cover up the working hit of the chair shot.
Yeah, I can understand.
So
that.
they're giving you that movement, so you feel it, and then they can hide the angles. You know, you got the crowd; they're at a disadvantage from seeing the stuff up close. People on TV are going to get, they're going to give something away. So if they're kind of boom, boom, and they're cutting to the hit, and they're zooming in and out as the chair cracks the ground, you're never getting a clear shot of what's going in and going down. So that's part of it, what I think they're doing.
Yeah, I get it, but it still just drives me nuts. You got to zoom in for every impact, especially when Roman Reigns is hitting him like a damn machine gun with the chair.
Yeah.
You think Roman Reigns is done with the beatdown, but he grabs another chair, and now Reigns is just chatterboxing and talking to himself while he beats the living shit out of Seth Rollins, for lack of a better term. And then this is where the lazy booking that I just teased comes about, Brian. He's been beating Seth Rollins with a chair for roughly 5 or 6 minutes at this point. Nobody in this building cares to stop this physical assault with a weapon. No referees, no officials, not Seth Rollins' wife, who we know for a fact is in the building because she has a match later on tonight.
Not a person. Seth ain't got no friends.
Nobody gives a living shit. So if we're supposed to be selling this as real, which these guys with the psychology and the emotion throughout the entire match have been selling the shit out of it, that it's real. If this was in any sort of way real, I think somebody might have attempted to stop this beatdown from happening.
I mean, watch one episode of AEW, and if they don't let people wrestle that aren't in tights on AEW. So like they will send out 700 referees, and all of a sudden every security guard they've ever come to, we don't want people fighting on a wrestling show. So when somebody starts fighting and beating with chairs, just start sending in the extras. Even if they take a quick beating and get thrown around, why isn't somebody trying to stop this?
Yeah, and I don't know. I thought this would have been a great spot for Becky Lynch to come out and at least cover up her husband or whatever.
Sure. But yeah, they didn't do anything, and he just took a beating with a chair for 25 minutes.
Yeah, and then Roman Reigns just walks down the aisle talking to himself, and then that's a wrap on this whole segment. So it kind of just, the match itself was great, but then the ending, it just fell flat, man. Just complete fart in the wind.
Yeah, the ending, like the actual finish, didn't make me happy, and then that, obnoxious beatdown was rough. So it's like, like I said, that's the taste you left in my mouth, and that was that. What do we move on to next here? We leave that alone, and we'll come back to some of this later. What do we got coming up next on the Royal Rumble breakdown?
We're going right into the Women's Royal Rumble, Brian.
Oh, that's right. We went right to the Women's Royal Rumble. And, how do we cover a Royal Rumble here? What did we do last year when we talked about the Royal Rumble? Because we can't break down 30 people, right? We're just going to start out with who started this thing and then kind of bring it on to some highlights and how the thing wrapped up, I think.
Well, we'll start out on how I watched this thing, Brian. I watched this thing with my finger Morse coding all over the fast forward button.
At 2 times speed the entire time, 1.5 speed?
I basically made notes on anyone interesting coming into the match. And we're starting this thing off. We'll start with the first two starting things off. We have Sasha Banks, the boss, and she is starting the Royal Rumble off with Melina.
Man, the crowd went nuts for her, right? Melina? Sorry, I know we were
Melina. Yeah.
I was like weirded out by it. Like, really? Melina? Like, I remember her being with Mercury and Nitro, remember Eminem and the whole thing, and Johnny, that's where Johnny Nitro came from, and then, blah, blah, blah. But like that pop, and then like she's all emotional, getting ready to square off, like to start the match, and she's like crying. It's like, you're going to be in this thing for like 18 seconds, and well, she was. She was eliminated before the third contestant came out.
Yeah, and I don't know. I didn't understand the pop for Melina. I guess she was an advocate. Wasn't she the one standing up for, because she had an OnlyFans or a Twitch or something to that effect?
I thought that was Selena Vega.
Oh, yeah, that was Selena Vega. Well, that shows how much attention to women's wrestling.
Yeah, Melina was just like came out of retirement. Yeah, Melina just came out of retirement. Like, who cares? So, anyways, we'll continue and move on.
One of my favorite female stars from the past came in at number 4, Brian. That would be Kelly, but she looked nothing like Kelly that used to be in WWE. I actually paused the match and Googled Kelly because I'm like, no, that's not her. And apparently it is. She just looks different now.
And apparently it is. Yeah, I was a Kelly fan myself.
Bianca Belair enters at number 8. She was a notable entry because she's always cruising around the top of the women's division there. Michelle McCool coming in at number 10. Now that was an interesting one. Undertaker's wife. Haven't seen her. Was she in last year's?
Last year's or the year before? One of the last like 2 years she was in.
But it's kind of cool to see Michelle McCool come in. She's still in great shape. Didn't seem like she lost a step. She was hitting decent moves. Everything seemed pretty smooth with Michelle McCool.
Yeah. What weirds me out, too, is like even with we'll go back to Melina for a second, and we can come up to Michelle McCool, even Kelly. Like, why aren't they still employed?
That was the question I had. So you have Michelle McCool. I mean, she's got Undertaker money, and she's got kids down in Texas and everything. So it's like, whatever, she don't have to work. But these other girls, the Kellys, you wonder, what are they doing? They could be making tons of money in WWE right now.
Yeah, it just seems like, and they're in good shape. They still could wrestle and move. Are they just, I don't know, maybe they just said that, fuck, I don't know. It's just weird to me. If you can, why aren't you? Does WWE kind of likes you? They bring you back, so they're not going to give you some type of contract? Like something? And the women's division has been slaughtered so much, there's nobody left, and they relied on celebrities and nostalgia acts to come back and fill in the gaps. So why not just hire some of the nostalgia back?
Exactly. You couldn't come up with 30 household WWE homegrown names to fill this match, so you had to reach out elsewhere. But so yeah, why Kelly doesn't still have a WWE contract is beyond me. Number 16 was my favorite, Brian, Rhea Ripley, and she actually comes in, House of Fire, eliminates Carmella and Queen Zelina at the same time. And at that point, I'm thinking Rhea Ripley has a shot at this thing.
You know, I thought Sasha had a shot at this thing, too, coming in early. She'd been gone for a little bit. She finally got cleared medically. They got her she's opened the thing. She's number 1 and 2 or whatever she was. And it's like, man, they could put her in that spot. That's kind of a cool spot to be gone from injury and then come back and stick it out all the way, right? And, you know, she's gone somewhere around the 15-minute mark.
Yep. Charlotte Flair, and at 17, she's another one who you're thinking is going to be at the top. One of the last people in there. Ivory, little nostalgia act. Ivory coming in with the
Right to Censor.
Right to Censor. That's what it was with Bull Buchanan. Wasn't he in Right to Censor?
And Val Venus when he flipped from in The Good Father. Remember, didn't he turn from being the Godfather and selling hoes, and Val Venus wasn't doing porn anymore, and they were the Right to Censor?
Oh, God, man. As gimmicky as that was, when I was in that era of wrestling, they were the best heels on the planet. I hated Right to Censor.
Oh, yeah.
So
all you wanted was the
wanted
hose
everyone
back.
to kick their ass.
You wanted the hose back, and you wanted Val doing his little porn gimmick. Yeah, and then I did like, going back to Charlotte Flair coming in for a second, I did like how they explained that Charlotte wins, she gets to pick her opponent. Because she's going to have a match regardless being the champion. So that the champion was in it. You know, that's not something you see a lot. Because you're going, well, how does this work? So then you're thinking she gets to pick the opponent. So you could have a champion versus champion. You could have, work that a couple different ways. So I like that.
Yeah, Charlotte Flair in at 17, Ivory at 18, and then Brie Bella of the famous Bella Twins is in at 19. I was never a Bella Twins fan. Were you, Brian?
I mean, let me just sound like a traditional sexist male here and go, I mean, I enjoyed the Bella Twins, but I wasn't like a big mark for their wrestling. I thought they were two beautiful ladies that I didn't mind seeing on TV.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think if we were playing overrated, underrated, both of the Bellas would be in the overrated category.
Unfortunately, I think they get overrated because they're good-looking girls, and they get the treatment of the good-looking girl treatment. So they're like, well, you were wrestlers that were good-looking, so you're great. You go down as legends,
right?
And you're in the Hall of Fame.
And then our most one of our most interesting entrants comes in at number 20 here. Mickie James comes in. She actually gets a graphic on the screen that says Impact Women's Champion, and she has the Impact Women's Championship around her waist.
I was wondering WWE was going to make her leave the hardware at home. Just because, or you know what I'm saying? Like, keep it in your bag. You come out, we'll call you the champion. We'll put Impact on there, but chill out on the hardware. But they said, screw it, go for it. And even came out not to her WWE music. Came out to her that Impact music. I don't think she was using that same music in WWE. I know it's what she uses in Impact.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched Impact.
I catch it on Instagram and like TikToks, like little clips, but
that made me think, Brian, because I loved the Iconics. I thought they were gorgeous. I love the Australian accents, and they were so annoying that you couldn't help but love them. They go over to Impact. I set my DVR to record Impact. I still haven't watched one episode of Impact. So, yeah, that goes to show you what kind of power that company has right now.
Yeah.
Number 21 is Alicia Fox. That was another return, right? We haven't seen her in a while.
I guess, yeah, they were going nuts about that one. That one lost me.
And then another moment here where I had to pause my DVR and do some Googling here. They call out Summer Rae, and I had to pause it. And I'm like,
don't remember her.
she don't look like Summer Rae. There's a Summer Rae that's got super famous on Instagram, TikTok, and everything. Always doing like pictures of her butt and everything on the gram, millions of followers. Oh no, it wasn't that Summer Rae. It was some old wrestling Summer Rae that we haven't seen in 5 years.
Yeah, I didn't
So
even.
yeah, that goes in the who gives a shit pile.
I didn't even remember. I was like, I'd have to do some research. Like that one didn't tap the old memory bank there for me, but whatever.
Right. Google the other Summer Rae though, if you're listening.
Wink,
That
wink.
is SOMMERRAY. And it's not porn or anything like that.
No,
She's just
but
an Instagram
yeah.
Instagram chick. And the other Bella twin, Nikki, enters at 24. And then right after that, at number 25, we get the Madman Pondo associate herself, Sarah Logan.
Yeah, making her dramatic return. She off the JCW tour and back here in WWE. The worst is you're looking at this ring right now and you're going Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley. Like
Yeah.
it was just a feel because you're going who's going to win? Like are you really going to put what was the name you just said again? I'm sorry, Sarah Logan. Like
Sarah Logan.
Did you believe for at any point in time that a girl who had been let go from the WWE that made her come back at Royal Rumble they're going to be like, that's it, we're putting our money on her. She's going all the way. WrestleMania, baby. She's taking on no, you didn't.
No, at this point, I'm scrolling through my notes here, and pretty much you're looking at, Charlotte Flair. Super interesting one would have been Mickie James.
Sure.
Rhea Ripley. But yeah, there's no way Ivory is going to win it. There's no way either one of the Bella twins is going to win it. Alicia Fox, Summer Rae, all these are just kind of just, oh yeah, look, cool, it's them.
Sasha Banks was another one that was like, all right, I can see it. She's been there before in recent times, but, boop, she's out. So you're just going, wow, what are we doing here? What are we watching?
And then at number 26, Lita comes in. And Lita makes an impact right away, no pun intended, by eliminating Mickie James. And just, you saw what Lita was wearing, right, Brian?
Yeah.
And you see the age in her face, and her hair is still colored. And I'm sorry, chauvinistic as it sounds, but Lita looks like a 80s mom who's trying to get her, relive her youth after her kids left for college.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh yeah, I can go to rock concerts at the local bar again.
I think there's a way that she could have kept the Lita look, but with the Lita age. I think there's a happy medium. Yeah. And I think they tried to go for like 1998, 99, 2000 Lita, and it fell flat. You don't want Lita coming out though in a pantsuit though, right? Looking like Laura Bush.
Right, that's true. But just seeing, clearly she's aged. She's got to be right around 50, and she looks like she's going to a goddamn Avril Lavigne concert.
Like you can try and keep your style. You just got to age it up a little bit, and it didn't fit. So we'll let Lita. Hopefully she gets that tightened up before Elimination Chamber.
And did you see she's kind of still doing the remember she was famous for having her thong hang out of her raver pants or whatever at the top. Now she's wearing like a
bodysuit,
like a onesie. Yeah. She's wearing a onesie under her baggy jeans, and it's just like, it's not working.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a no for me, dog.
It's gonna be a no for me, dog. Like just the same pants and like a crop top should have been straight. But that weird bodysuit thong thing looked fucking weird.
Yeah. Molly Holly comes in at 27, and we got to do the face off of the superheroes
well,
here.
Of course.
We got Molly Holly in her cape, and she's immediately attacked by Nikki Ass and is eliminated right away.
Nikki Ass, was that a slip there? Not Nikki Ash.
No, I believe one of the commentators called her Nikki Ass during this match. It might have been Pat McAfee.
Billy Gunn suing.
Ronda Rousey coming in at number 28, and then that's where it clicks. We know who's going to win this thing.
That's who we've been waiting for. Well, or at least was going to make a goddamn impact was Ronda Rousey. You're going, okay, another one in. It could come down to Ronda Rousey and they could have went Ronda Rousey and Charlotte could have won, and Ronda could have been like, you did this, you did that, and challenged and made her pick her, right? Made Charlotte say, fine, I'll give you the shot, blah, blah, blah. So, but
Rousey gets in, and she's cleaning house. She's whooping everybody's ass, and we finally get the face-off that I've been waiting for, Brian. Ronda Rousey and Rhea Ripley. I get excited seeing these two face off, and then Rousey just beats the shit out of Rhea Ripley, and it's like, well, what I expect, I guess, right?
Can see where this is going.
And then our number 30 entrant, Brian, is Shayna Baszler enters at number 30.
I was like watching it going, who's going to be number 30? And then it was just like, Shayna Baszler. And you're like, interesting.
Yeah. And I guess that was just for the Ronda Rousey thing. You get your two MMA fighters to face off. And Charlotte Flair eliminates Lita and Rhea Ripley. Charlotte Flair then eliminates Shayna Baszler and Bianca Belair. She is just on a hell of a run here. Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair are our final two, and it almost seemed rushed. Ronda Rousey just makes quick work of Charlotte Flair, just tossing her right over the top rope, and it's a wrap. Ronda Rousey is your Royal Rumble winner.
Yeah, it just was a weird, again, I wasn't impressed with this women's Royal Rumble. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't really impressed with the men's Royal Rumble either, but we'll talk about that here in about 10 minutes.
We will. But we got to go on to our Raw Women's Championship match, Brian. We got Becky Lynch. We do. Becky Lynch taking on Food Drop here at the for the Women's Championship. Doudrop, all power, all offense on the starting this thing off. And just one thing I noticed, I know you can't talk about this shit nowadays, but you got to point out people's lack of athleticism. And Doudrop looks like she's going to lose her balance and tip over every time she runs. It's fine when she walks or she gallops over to Becky Lynch here, but when she full on runs, she looks like she's going to tip over. She's built like a 88 Ford Bronco. She's just so top heavy that you think she's going to tip over. And it's just like, oh boy, I don't mind big girls. I date big girls, but she is just so misproportioned.
I can't stand her. I couldn't stand her when she was, what was she, managing or bodyguarding for Eva Marie there when she was back for a minute, and you're going, this Doudrop. What is a Doudrop? Why are you called Doudrop? Is that a name? Because I think, what was she called on the indies, like Viper or something, and she wasn't allowed to use that, I think, because of the Randy Orton gimmick. But, so they just said Doudrop. Is it one word? Is it two words? Is that something? Is it? Are you do and your last name's Drop? What is? What is it?
Spell it weird. It's not do like Mountain Dew. It's DEU. Who knows?
Yeah,
Vince McMahon was just off his meds that day.
And she doesn't impress me. The name is weird. The whole gimmick sucks. And to find out she's getting a title match against Becky Lynch. What?
Yeah. I'm sorry, but she doesn't have the look to be the face of the company with the belt.
What? She's going to go
nobody's going to believe.
She's going to go on Jimmy Kimmel as the champion, and he's going to come out and be they're like, we got our new women's champion, Doudrop. What?
Exactly.
The people
Who
are supposed to
cares?
interview her, and she's supposed to represent the company on radio shows and Good Morning America at some point. Here's Dewdrop.
Yeah.
What is it?
Never gonna happen.
No. So it's like you're watching this going, this is stupid. She's not going to win. Why do we have this? And it was just to make Becky get over and, like, to show that she can fight from the bottom because she was outsized and outmatched, right? That's the symbolism of it.
Right. And I might catch shit for pointing out Dewdrop's shortcomings because of her lack of physique here, but it's pointed out throughout this entire match. This entire match is just Becky Lynch bouncing off of Dewdrop or hanging on her, and it's just it's got to be it's embarrassing watching this thing. But yeah, Becky Lynch she's the heel, but she's fighting from underneath the entire time. Dewdrop gets a near fall and ends up climbing the ropes, only gets up to the second rope here, and Becky Lynch hits a rock bottom off the second rope, and all of a sudden that's it. That's a wrap. 5 feet fall onto her flat back bump, and that's a wrap for Dewdrop.
Day one wrestling school. Take a flat back bump, and that's how you get the 1, 2, 3. Like, I could have cared. They could have put this as the opening, like, pre-show match, as far as I care. And I know you like a title match shouldn't get that, and Becky Lynch shouldn't get that, but it was tainted.
Yeah, it stunk.
On
After
ice.
that, we get a video package for Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley here, and this was a nice little bio piece that they put together. Quick, concise, very informative on the two, and this thing left me thinking, you know what? I think Brock Lesnar might be my favorite wrestler, like, to ever come through WWE.
Yeah, he's pretty high up there. Like, I forgot about him for a while when he split, and then he did the MMA thing, and I kind of had like a bad taste in my mouth because he made it, to the top, lickety split, right? Less than 2 years, he's the champion, he's the guy. Then he's like, meh, I'm out, and then you're like, whoa, come on, guy. This is like the bad taste I had in my mouth for CM Punk for a while, and then he goes to do the MMA thing, and you're watching him and going, wow, he's a badass. He just this is real fighting, and he just murdered these guys. And then he decided to come back, and it was like, all right. And then it was cool to watch again. And then the attitude and the way that he's been handled and the way that he's been handling himself or whatever, it's made it work. The way that he's able to go away and then come back and go away and then come back and be involved and be involved and be involved and go away, it's just perfect. Like, don't change it, because with him going away makes it so much special when you hear that music hit. And you're like, ah! He is going to bite this guy's head off.
Yeah, agree with you 100% right here on this, Brian. So, like, one thing I hate is unless you know it's a character like MJF, like, I'm better than everyone around me. If you know it's a character, it's like, all right, you get it. But someone who in real life is like, no, I'm the fucking best, and everyone else sucks, and they're not, it's incredibly annoying. But Brock Lesnar he went through OVW. You hear Cornette talk about him, just exceptional, just picked up everything. He goes to WWE, shoots straight to the moon because he deserved it. Wasn't very good at football, almost made it onto the Minnesota Vikings, but not quite.
Did he even still made it as a walk-on? Like, he made the team. It's just as a walk-on.
Yeah, he just ended up getting cut. Yeah.
And never even played football. Didn't even do college football. He's like, fuck, I'll go. Let's try this football thing I've seen about. How do you get into the NFL? Here's a line over here.
Actually, yeah, come to mention it, he made it to the NFL without playing organized football, because he is in a Madden game. There's one Madden game, I forget which one it is, but he's on there as a free agent.
Yeah, it's just like he didn't even try. He's like, football sounds cool.
And then he goes to UFC and just almost instantly wins the UFC heavyweight title, and then just comes into WWE when he has to, and he's just like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm the best. I'll come in whenever I want. Fuck you, pay me." And the thing is, he's earned it all.
Yep.
So that's why you have tons of respect for him. And this this new Brock Lesnar who's not pissed off all the time, who's actually having a good time now and is a little more relaxed, a little more laid back. Yeah, this guy's evolved and he stayed interesting for 20 years.
Yeah. Comes out and making people laugh, and he's got a little bit of comedy to him these days in his promos that he's cutting. I'm enjoying Brock Lesnar. I'm just sad because I know after the WrestleMania, there's a good chance he's going to take some time off again.
Yep. Got to go up to Manitoba or whatever.
He'll probably take time off with the fucking belt too. Knowing him, he'll he'll be the champion and be like, man, I'm going to take 6 months, and there'll be no Raw champion for 6 months or whatever.
And Vince would be like, "Okay, pal, sounds like good shit."
See you in June.
But we'll move into this match. And this match, Brian, we'll get into the schematics of the match, but what a fucking waste of a dream match. Do you agree on that point? And then we'll get into it.
So you finally get
right.
Brock and Bobby together. The double Bs coming at it. You know, guys from similar backgrounds. You know, both NCAA, Brock was NCAA and Bobby wrestled for the military, right? Didn't he did wrestling, like amateur style.
Right, yeah.
It's just like finally two guys of similar stature, similar size, similar background in amateur wrestling. Like, hey, let's finally put these two animals together.
And they never crossed paths, both of them being in and out of the WWE for years and years, and never ended up crossing paths. So yeah, everyone's been dying to see this match, and we'll go through the match and then I'll explain why I feel it was such a waste. Starting this thing off, this one's got psychology involved too. Lesnar's just having fun. He's laughing, he's goofing around. Bobby Lashley, pure intensity, just I want to get my hands on Brock Lesnar. They trade German suplexes. You get 2 more German suplexes from Brock Lesnar. Bobby Lashley's no selling them boys. 2 spears from Bobby Lashley. Lesnar's rolling out of the ring. Lesnar's selling his ass off for Bobby Lashley. So
yeah,
Lesnar being a little more participatory nowadays too, actually selling for guys.
Yeah, I think if you make that check right and you explain to him the reason why, I think it's all right. You know, he'll go, oh, that makes sense. And this is what we're going to do. This is the chess game, and here's the long story of this, the long con. And all right, cool. He'll work with it, and he must be happy too. He must respect Bobby Lashley in a sense too, to give him that respect back. Because you know he'll just get in there with somebody and just be like, remember when he punched Braun Strowman? Slow the fuck down! And mollywopped him in the jaw, and it's like, wow, all right.
Yeah, with those big meat hooks. But Lashley misses a spear, goes through the barricade, and that barricade just exploded when Bobby Lashley went through it. Finally, Bobby Lashley's selling German suplexes here because he gets hit with 3 in a row from Brock Lesnar, and then another 2 from Brock Lesnar. Bobby Lashley, this whole match, Brian, is just spears, F5s, hurt locks, and German suplexes. Just 4 or 5 moves.
That's it.
They make it interesting.
Yeah, you put these guys, these big bulls in the arena together, and they're going to, run into each other. You just want to see them. Nobody else German suplexes. When Brock's in a match, it's the joke, right? When we have we get together with the party and hang out with the boys and we watch wrestling, and we have our pick'em board. The tiebreaker is always how many German suplexes is Brock going to give to somebody that night. So to see somebody else be able to do it to Brock is like, okay, you guys could just do this all night. You German suplex him, you German suplex the other, back and forth, back and forth. Power moves is all you want to see out of these 2 big gorillas.
Yeah, and they deliver. Bobby Lashley counters an F5 attempt into a hurt lock, and Brock Lesnar selling the absolute shit out of this hurt lock. Brock Lesnar, to break out of the hurt lock, ends up inadvertently squashing the ref into the corner.
Yeah.
The hold gets broken. Bobby Lashley attempts to put Brock in a hurt lock again, ends up getting F5 for his trouble, and the same referee ends up getting kicked for this one. So at least it took 2 moves to knock this referee out of commission.
Yeah. That was like, I saw the first ref bump and was like, oh, no. And then the second one, and then you're like, that's it. How does this end? Because it's not ending the way that it should. And they were like pretty bad ref bumps too. Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
I've seen my kids fall down a flight of stairs, and she stood up and was like, "Buh," and wasn't out. Like, this guy took a foot to the side of the head, and it was just like, I can't stand up for 2 hours.
Take him to the medical facility.
Yeah.
So the referee is out of commission. Roman Reigns rushes the ring, spears Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns staring down Paul Heyman at this point. Paul Heyman hands the belt to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns slobber knockers Brock Lesnar with the belt. New referee, Johnny on the spot as soon as Roman Reigns leaves the ring. Nobody saw nothing. And Bobby Lashley gets the pin with a new ref. Paul Heyman leaves with Roman Reigns. And yeah, that was that.
Yeah. The sloppy ref bumps leading into Paul turning on Brock again, or turning on Brock. That was interesting. The setup where Bobby Lashley wins, pretty interesting as well, because it sets up a strong, there's a men's Royal Rumble, and if no spoilers here, but if nobody saw that Brock wasn't going to make a surprise entrant into the Royal Rumble at this point, you never watched professional wrestling in the likes of the WWE.
Right. And then where I get into this was a waste of a match is this match was made just so we can get shit back on track. Brock Lesnar was never intended to get the WWE Championship.
Right.
That belt, to be frank, is below him. That's Big E held it before Brock Lesnar. And Big E's a great performer by all means, but he was a first-time champion. It was kind of a give it to him because he deserves it, kind of like a Mick Foley type thing. It wasn't the superstar blew everybody away and needs to have the belt. So as shitty as it sounds, the WWE Championship was below Brock Lesnar. He only got that belt because the original plan of him fighting Roman Reigns got the kibosh on it because Roman Reigns got COVID. So yeah, this was a whole clusterfuck just to get things back organized so that we could get Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. So this match itself had no real meaning to it. They tried their best to get some animosity between Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley here, but just it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't the right time to finally put these two back in a ring together, because the meaning of the match was just to get to Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
100% agree. I think they could have done it differently. I think they could have still had Roman come out. Maybe he just stands there at the entranceway like he's going to do something. It takes Brock's attention away. Bobby Lashley gets a little bit of some offense on him. Da-da-da-da-da. Back and forth. Roman's not leaving yet, but when Brock turns to look to Paul Heyman for some help, right, for something, for encouragement, he turns his back on him and joins Roman as they turn around to walk down the aisleway. Now Bobby catches him with a spear and gets the 1-2-3. All off of a distraction type thing. And that's just, Brian's booking out of his ass 101 that I love to do here on the show. So something as simple as that, I think, could have changed the outcome. But the referee bump, the title thing, I hate the second referee thing. Because if the second referee is now the legal referee to run into the ring, right, and do the 1-2-3, then how come he wasn't there to like, ding, 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 he's eliminated. I saw you use the belt. Right?
Right.
There should have been a turn. Like,
obviously, if he slid into the ring that quick, he saw Roman Reigns hit Brock Lesnar with the belt.
so like
So
the referee that crawls up from the ring after he's been knocked down and does like the ref 1, 2, 3 that's been hurt, the slowest, like, and his hand just falls 3. Like, those are all right with me, but when the new referee comes in this type of situation, bugs me.
yeah, I guess the main point I'm making is there was so much bullshit
Sure.
surrounding this match that we couldn't focus on the dream match. We had to focus on Roman Reigns. We had to focus on the stupid referees. We had to focus on Paul Heyman on what he was going to do. Then we had to think, wait, how are we going to get Brock versus Roman if Brock has this title? So that means Bobby Lashley is obviously going to win. So it's just so much horse shit surrounded it,
like you said,
it just didn't feel organic whatsoever.
Just to get it back on track is all it was. They were off kilter and they had to do something because they couldn't have Brock lose that 5-way match. Then what? Then why does anybody care that he's going to fight, whatever, Big E for the title? Why would he have that opportunity again?
So yeah, it was a good match, and they've got the magic to make 5 moves, make the match still look amazing, but it was just ended up falling flat. And then we move into a real barn burner, Brian. We move from that match over to Miz and Maurice taking on Edge and Beth Phoenix.
Give it for what it is. I had no expectations, weren't set high by any means. My expectations were not set high because it just was a mixed tag match. It was Edge and Beth and Miz and Maurice and blah, blah, blah. It was in a cool-down spot. It was fine for what it was supposed to be. It was what it was supposed to be.
This is a legitimate question, not loaded at all, because I'm just asking because you pay a little more attention to WWE than I do. But was this a pay-per-view, a match worthy of a pay-per-view spot, or was this something that just belonged on Raw?
They had been building it up so much that they could put it in the pay-per-view. It was in a good spot of a cool down spot. It wasn't like it didn't need to have a lot of focus on it. They didn't need to give it a lot of time. And I thought it just kind of fit and moved on. It wasn't. I'm just glad they didn't sell it as being like this as a big barn burner, right? As like, oh my God, the reason we're all here. Edge and Beth Phoenix, and you're going in a mixed tag match, against Miz and Mrs. It's like whatever. It was just it existed for me. It wasn't. It was exactly what I expected it to be, and it was exactly how they sold it to me. So I was fine with it all.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. Maurice, I thought she did pretty well. I didn't really expect too much out of Maurice. Miz ends up taking a couple moves from Beth Phoenix. One of those moves being a power bomb. So it's just kind of like, we're getting a little gimmicky in there with Beth Phoenix beating up the Miz because we all know
she's the Glamazon
in real life. Miz could have just knocked the shit out of her in any point in this match. But Edge and Beth Phoenix, unless you saw any other spots that you wanted to point out, Edge and Beth Phoenix end up winning with simultaneous spears and stereo glam slams here.
Stereo glam slam! Oh, man, Excalibur would have just lost his mind.
Oh, he would have.
Yeah, so no, that was, like I said, it existed in the spot in the way that it was supposed to, and it was as simple as that. Nothing exciting.
And then we move on to our men's Royal Rumble, Brian. And, man, this did not live up to the hype. I'm going to be honest with you. I was pretty bored throughout this thing.
It lived up to the ending.
That's about it. We're starting this thing off with AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Now,
2 people I wouldn't mind erasing from wrestling history.
Now, I honestly thought this might be AJ's run. Maybe we're going to get AJ back in the title because He came out, and what did he do when he came out and he was in the entranceway? Do you recall?
I don't.
He did the Shawn Michaels, right? He did the lean to the side with the one leg stretched out, the pose, got down there. Well, who's famous for going bell to bell in the Royal Rumble, right? Old Shawn himself, Mr. Hickabotham. And I was like, wow, maybe that's like he's good. He's doing like the Shawn, right? He's calling it. It's kind of like a Babe Ruth. He's calling his shot. And
a little foreshadowing.
Sure.
Going on, yeah.
So I thought it could have been a shot. I like AJ Styles. I think the right gimmick and the right attitude behind him, I can get behind him again. I like Shinsuke Nakamura from New Japan. I think there's a different Shinsuke that we're getting currently at the time, so it is what it is. I think these were two great guys. But Shinsuke with the Intercontinental Championship, you're not going all the way. They've never done it before. Why are they going to do it now, right? And plus, he won a couple years ago, and then they made him job at WrestleMania. So,
yeah, Shinsuke, if he holds a major championship, most likely it's just going to be a transitional champion spot. But you got these two kicking it off. We get our gimmick celebrity entrant at number 9, and that would be none other than Johnny Knoxville, coming out with
now
Preston, Wee Man, and some other guy.
Now the night before, Jackass was in town with them, and did you see the video going around of Brock Lesnar throwing Wee Man through a table at a restaurant?
No, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Go on TikTok. It's on WWE's TikTok. He just picked him up, and they were like, yep, and he just lofted Wee Man and threw a table. I don't mind the Jackass tie-in for the movie coming out, and they put Johnny Knoxville in for a few reasons. One, it's better than the Pizza Hut sponsored Battle Royal that we got a couple months back, right? It's better than the zombie match that we got from The Miz during the pandemic. Remember that horse shit?
I do.
So if you're going to have a movie or a product sponsor you, at least like you put a guy from Jackass in and a guy like Johnny Knoxville from Jackass, that's going to go in there and literally probably throw some potatoes just so somebody hits him back really hard and throws him out of the ring right so it makes for good TV. Like, he'll go for the punishment and he'll take a hit and he'll be an ass. And it's fine. It's a tie-in to the movie. I get it. And I'm fine with it because it was sold to me right. I'm like, well, he's going to go in there and get beat up. and try to get somebody to do something stupid on live TV.
Yeah, I didn't mind it that much because it seemed like from Johnny Knoxville, I kind of get the vibe that he respects the business.
Sure.
And he wanted to learn a little bit to know how to take a bump, how to throw a working punch or whatever. But just the dumb, ridiculous writing from WWE writers, the whole thing between Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn that happened with the cattle prod or whatever, maybe it was last week, the week before, and just the gimmicky bzz, 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 bzz that they're playing over the loudspeaker and you're not seeing any electricity or anything. The Mounties cattle prod was more convincing than that. So it's just, even though Johnny Knoxville respects the business and wants to take a bump, it's just so gimmicky that it's just like, ugh.
Yeah, I didn't pay much attention to that first spot you were talking about, just the actual Royal Rumble spot. And like I said, if you're going to be sponsored by a movie, at least it was done where the star is literally going to get beat up and thrown out of the ring.
Right. Johnny Knoxville, I think he's in his 50s. He at least looks like he's in his 50s. Ends up taking a beat down from AJ Styles and takes a humongous frog splash from Montez Ford right in the middle of the ring.
Yep.
And props to Johnny Knoxville for taking that.
I mean, just imagine the opposite, right? You could have the Jackass themed match that then, like, they have to do stupid stuff and there's, like, chicken feathers and you're getting tarred and chicken feathered and you have to wrestle in, like, a shopping cart or something, right? Just, it could have been the stupidest sponsored thing that way. that at least this was just like, okay, Johnny Knoxville got in the ring and we moved on. So.
Right. Sami Zayn gets his revenge and ends up knocking out Johnny Knoxville. Number 11, we got Omos coming in. And
I was nervous
not
about
really-
Omos. I was nervous
what'd
about
you
him
think
being
was
in
gonna
there.
happen?
God, I don't even want to say it out loud that they could have pushed that big man right to the moon because he's a big giant. Because he's a big giant guy in a Royal Rumble match. I was nervous.
I could have saw that happening. Yeah. They love their big men over there in WWE. Not too much goes on. We get a few more entrants in the ring, almost throwing some people out. But then eventually, just kind of out of the blue, everybody in the match, looks like about 7 or 8 people, decide they're all going to push Omos out at the same time. It's just kind of flat and slow, and they're all just kind of huddling around Omos here until Dominic Mysterio gets in the ring, and apparently he's the one who lit the wick. And AJ Styles ends up rushing the pack and almost gets eliminated by everybody in the ring. So I guess even though almost got eliminated early, kind of makes him look good that it took 7 or 8 people to get him out.
Yeah, I was, again, pretty nervous that he was in there, and I was like, because at the time, I'd run through the list, and I'm going, I don't know who's going to win this thing. And they could take a wild card shot and put Omos in that position. They may try that, and so I was nervous about that because I did not want to see that.
Speaking of things I did not want to see, number 20, our entrant is Matt Riddle. And as far as not wanting to see, I read in the news, Brian, that Matt Riddle, thank God for Brock Lesnar. I'm thanking my lucky stars for Brock Lesnar. If Brock Lesnar wasn't in the Royal Rumble, Riddle was the original planned winner for this thing.
I know you hate him. I don't hate him. I just don't care for the gimmick. I think he has the talent to wrestle. Not saying he needs to win the Royal Rumble, but I just think he has the talent to go and eventually be something. But this stoner looking up to Randy Orton type gimmick is old and moldy.
Yeah. What they say something about scales. Oh yeah, vipers have scales, just like the things I weigh stuff on. It's an old trope from 30 years ago from Jay and Silent Bob and Cheech and Chong, and it's just so overdone.
I didn't care for it when Rob Van Dam did it, and I love Rob Van Dam.
Right. So the whole gimmick, the guy can wrestle, the guy can sell, the guy can move, but this gimmick has caught on so strong, and I just can't stand it. But to each his own, I guess. If that's what you like. Drew McIntyre is in at number 21, and Drew McIntyre just right off the bat destroying Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. This is my first time seeing Madcap Moss, Brian, and what are these characters? So there's this guy that they call Booger or Boogie or something.
Oh, yeah, he plays the guitar for Shinsuke Nakamura.
Well, he's a complete and utter goof, just like dancing around in a singlet. You got this Madcap Moss guy who wears work boots, booty shorts, and suspenders. How are you supposed to take these newer characters seriously? Could you see a guy like Madcap Moss fighting Brock Lesnar
and taking it seriously? No, not at all. You're hitting that weird spot like we did in the early 90s when the gimmick wrestlers were old, and like even I was tapping out at the young age of 11, 12 years old of watching wrestling so much anymore, because it was like, what is a Damien Demento? And why do I care that he's wrestling? Why is a Duke the Dumpster Drosy? Why is a garbage man become a wrestler? Is wrestling so easy to get into that just the garbage man decides to be a wrestler and you're in at the WWE? Is it that simple? Like, the MVP, he's a mascot for a baseball team. He got to become a professional wrestler. Like, I could care less about that era of wrestling. And that's kind of the weird spot I feel like we're coming back to again, is these off-the-wall characters They're like, what is a madcap moss? What does that even mean? Why do you dress like that? What do you do? And how does it work? And why would it work?
Like I said, it's my first time seeing him, and I guess his entire gimmick is that he's happy, and he hangs out with Happy Corbin.
Yeah.
And it's just the writing is just so shallow. I would just like to think that if you are entering the World Wrestling Empire here, your goal should be to fight and compete and get to the top of the food chain there. That seems to be in any fighting video game, any fighting movie, any fighting show. That seems to be the common goal, is to
Sure.
be the best and to win the top prize. But as a madcap moss in your booty shorts and suspenders, your goal seems to be just comic relief. And it's like, just, it has to be these writers that they're hiring. They're just like, wouldn't it be funny if there was a guy in booty shorts?
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't get the draw to the character, what they see for a long term in the character. I mean, just call back Bastion Booger. I mean, why not?
Right. I mean, shit, if we're just looking for comic relief at this point, and I don't know, the people seem to eat them up, though. So I guess do your thing, Madcap.
God bless.
Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is in at number 22, and he's going right after Drew McIntyre. And it's finally like, these are the kind of guys you want to see. Not every guy has to be built like a Brock Lesnar or a Bobby Lashley. KO takes off his shirt and he looks more like me than he does Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
But KO, you see his intensity, you see his seriousness, and you can take him as a real competitor, someone who's actually fighting to get to the top of that mountain.
Yeah, and he's another one that's actually in the match finally that you go, wow, he could win this thing. So now you got Drew McIntyre in there, you got Kevin Owens in there, you got a couple guys bouncing around. Big E eventually makes an appearance in here, I believe, and you're like, well, finally we got some names.
And then former WWE champion Kofi Kingston is in at number 24.
Oh, poor
and that's
Kofi.
always, poor Kofi. That's always an interesting spot when Kofi shows up. You know, even the commentators are selling it. We want to see what Kofi's got up his sleeve. And old Kofi wore short sleeves that day, apparently.
Yeah. He went for the traditional Kofi Kingston spot, as it comes to be dubbed. And how can he get eliminated but not get eliminated and then get back in the ring and then get eliminated?
Right. And he just cuts right to the chase on this one. Attempts a springboard spot with Kevin Owens. Kofi was supposed to catch himself on the barricade, ends up falling a tad bit short, and both feet clearly hit the ground. And the referees had no other option but to say, you know what, you're eliminated. Go back to the locker room, you goof.
Yeah. You came in for your cool spot and it missed. It just didn't hit. This year it didn't hit, so sucks for him.
Another guy who had a fighting chance coming into this thing, Big E, comes in at number 26. And then number 27, Brian. This is my personal favorite. I thought this guy was taking it all. I thought he was getting a belt at WrestleMania.
I forget who it is, but just the way that you've oversold it, I know it's a real piece of shit.
And you would be correct, Brian, because it is none other than Bad Bunny.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Son of a bitch. Bad Bunny. I read an article.
I hate Matt Riddle, but Bad Bunny came in at 27 and immediately hits a Canadian destroyer on Matt Riddle. And I wanted to fucking drown myself at that point.
I read an article that said about how Triple H stated several years ago that the WWE would never make another marquee wrestler, somebody bigger than the WWE themselves, i.e. The Rock, John Cena, Hulk Hogan, and so on. Those types of guys, right? There's a handful. And they have no goal to build another one of those again. And they clearly proved this. This is what the article said. They clearly proved that last night by letting a rapper who's never wrestled but twice in his life beat up 60% of your roster.
Matt Riddle, you can confirm this is an accomplished MMA fighter, wouldn't you say?
He made it to the UFC. If he just could stop smoking weed and getting in a little bit of trouble, he would have probably been just fine.
But no, he got his ass royally whipped by Bad Bunny.
Like, I don't get this draw with Bad Bunny. I know I just defended Jackass and Johnny Knoxville being in there, but Johnny Knoxville came in, punched AJ Styles a couple times, and got eliminated 22 seconds later.
And I think so when WWE changed their name from the World Wrestling Federation to World Wrestling Entertainment, people kind of shit themselves and they're like, we don't need to be shoving it down our throats that this is entertainment. But it appears that the fans, on whether you watch WWE or AEW, have fully embraced this entertainment thing.
Yeah.
They just want to be entertained.
They
don't want to see wrestling anymore.
Yeah,
they just want to see stuff that in the moment makes them go, oh man, that was cool.
Wrestling is a byproduct of professional wrestling. Like, it's just it happens at a thing. It's like, you went to a play and a wrestling match broke out. I liked both the physical aspect of it, and I also liked the drama of it that wrestling brought to the story. But right now, it's not even about either. It's just about just getting over and getting a quick pop, making something that can hit on TikTok or something. A clip that can go viral.
WWE, this just popped into my head, is comparable to the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
So you had Johnny Carson, you even go up to Jay Leno, and it was about the product as a whole, just, kind of engulfing you in. You loved seeing Johnny Carson. He could, the way he could interact with any comedian on the show, any guest on the show, the whole thing was just the Tonight Show. And that's how wrestling was. The whole show enveloped you in the 80s and 90s. And now it's all about TikTok clips, pretty much. Nobody watches the Tonight Show anymore. They watch 10-minute or 5-minute clips of Jimmy Fallon on YouTube.
Yep.
And I think that's what WWE's going for now. They're just going for the quick hot spots.
Yeah, exactly. They're going for the quick YouTube clips or the trending whatever video platform it is at the moment. Those type of clips, and have them go viral and get passed around and talked about and go through Twitter and the likes of Facebook and wherever else they're at. So that's it, and it kind of sucks. I liked the whole thing a little better than watching it for 10-second pops.
Yeah, you put this pay-per-view show on in 1998, and it's the lowest rated pay-per-view of all time. But nowadays, I'm sure the video clip of Bad Bunny giving Matt Riddle a Canadian destroyer, it's going to have 15 million views by the end of the week. They're getting what they want, I guess.
Yeah, I'm with you. While you're talking about that, I'm just going to do a little search here, and let's see what Bad Bunny.
Yeah, Bad Bunny Royal Rumble. Let's see what comes up there.
Oh, there it is. And 4 days ago, it's not even an official one here. We'll just click on this one here. Over 2,000 likes and 168 comments and several shares and everything else. And the view count is, I can't see it at the moment, but nonetheless, it was right there, right? It's just right on the top. There's 6 of them in videos that are just showing for trending videos right now. Oh, this one has almost 100,000 views. This one has several thousand views here.
Just think
400,000 views. Yeah, I was saying, these are just regular accounts. We're at several 100,000 views on each one, so it's just amazing.
Right. And that's what the demo is these days. Kids who want to watch shit on YouTube. But nonetheless, Bad Bunny, eliminate Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler, which is embarrassing for both of those guys. I hope they walk back to the locker room with their heads hung in shame. Shane McMahon enters in at 28. Shane McMahon just straight up no selling several super kicks from Kevin Owens. And that was just like, ugh, no wonder you're getting heat in the locker room, you fucking D-bag.
Yeah, like if you're going to get kicked to the chops, guy, you got to at least sell a little bit and roll around on the ground. And rumor has it that you were saying how Shane was like all over the place, very erratic on Saturday night for the Royal Rumble. Yeah, rumor has it is that, I'm trying to make sure I word this right, is that he was trying to push for Matt Riddle to win at some point, right? Or that he was kind of high on Riddle for that. But he also changed Matt Riddle's entrance about 6 times of what number he was coming in at, and then was pushing for himself to win the Royal Rumble so he could have a match at WrestleMania. Like, he was all over the place on his thoughts and process about getting this thing done. It was like, wow. Where's your head at? He kept changing stuff. You're winning. You're coming in. You're not in. No, you're at this number. Shane was a real piece of work on Saturday night, evidently.
Yeah, enough to get him quietly released very soon after. So,
yeah. When your dad fires you,
yeah, you must have pissed off a lot of people in the company.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Number 29 would be who I was hoping to actually win would be Randy Keith Orton coming in at number 29.
Yeah, Randall Keith Orton I thought had the shot because, again, we were in Missouri, right?
Right.
And
Hometown.
he's from Missouri, hometown boy. I was like, uh-oh, this might be Randy's spot. And I was fine with that. 100% fine with that.
Yeah, and I would like to think if they planned on Riddle winning this thing, that Randy Orton was going to somehow be a champion by WrestleMania, and we were going to get our RK Bro explosion there. We would have seen our Matt Riddle versus Randy Orton. So, yeah, that's why I see Randy Orton near the top there. But nonetheless, Brock Lesnar, surprise entrant at number 30 because he lost his belt earlier in the night. Brock Lesnar proceeds to belly-to-belly suplex everybody in the ring except for Bad Bunny. And at that point, I'm like, you little pussy. Can't even take a belly-to-belly suplex from Brock Lesnar. But no, he ended up getting an F5 instead. So I was like, all right, whatever. At least he can take a move.
Took an F5, yeah. At that point, people should have just started jumping out of the ring.
Yeah.
Especially Bad Bunny. He should have just left. He should have hopped right out of that sumbitch. Should have been a good bunny and hit the bricks.
Lesnar eliminates everybody. It is down to him and Drew McIntyre. At least we get a little excitement out of this one. McIntyre blocks an F5. Brock Lesnar dodges a Claymore kick, but then it's a wrap. Lesnar dumps Drew McIntyre right over the top rope, and that's that. Brock Lesnar is your Royal Rumble champion.
What was it, January 2020 Royal Rumble? Right there in January before the world shut down for the pandemic, that Brock was eliminated by not Bobby Lashley, for the love of Pete, Drew McIntyre. And so that was like cool, like to see these guys square off again. Like, can he catch lightning in a bottle again? And not tonight. If anybody saw anybody but Brock winning, they didn't see anything coming at that point.
Yeah, so Brock takes it, and it's already decided. Either got decided on Raw or SmackDown, I don't remember, but
it was decided that night.
Will be taking on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 38.
Oh, of course. And now they got to square up who's going to take on Bobby Lashley and what they're doing with that nonsense. And to see who Ronda Rousey. I missed Raw this week, so I'm assuming she's going for Charlotte Flair because that's how they ended that battle or that Royal Rumble. So we'll see how that goes from there. But yeah, the ending was good. The Royal Rumble itself for the men was shaky at best. It was again based upon people coming in from outside or classic nostalgic acts and keeping this thing supported and being somewhat interesting. And but the ending made it okay for me. So earlier in the night, we had a good match followed by a bad ending, which left it feeling shitty, right? And this, we had a shitty Royal Rumble fixed by, I'd say, a pretty good ending. And you go, it wasn't so bad.
Right. Pretty non-eventful for the most part, and then you get in those late 20s, and it's like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. And then Brock Lesnar hits, and it's like, all right, that wasn't so bad.
That wasn't so bad at all. And that is your 2022 Royal Rumble. I believe that was it. That was the bring it home. That was it. The main event was the men's Royal Rumble, correct?
Yeah, that's it. And then just the criticism that a few people are throwing around out there is that, isn't it kind of silly that this wrestling company is relying on two UFC stars to be the top of the game, to carry an entire pay-per-view, being Ronda Rousey and Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
And it's like, kinda. But Brock Lesnar was a WWE guy before he's a UFC guy.
Yeah, he's a WWE guy that went to UFC, then came back. You know, hey guys, I went to the other side and legitimized our sport for a minute.
And then for Ronda Rousey, how could you pass that up? She's a legitimate badass. She's got star power. She's a movie star, or not movie star, but she's been in movies. You kind of can't pass that one up.
Yeah, why wouldn't you go for it? So I don't mind the two winners of the Royal Rumble at all. Some of the surrounding things that got us there were a little lackluster, and some of the matches, how they ended, and it all came together. I think this, you worded it best earlier, and I didn't even really look at it that way. This was just to get shit back in order because COVID screwed up some things a few months ago, and they had to get it back lined up.
Yeah, December was a rough month for the NBA, the NFL, NHL, and WWE.
Yeah. Hell, even
People were
AEW
just
got
quarantined left and right.
even AEW got the bone in that one with Cody Rhodes and the like. So, do we got anything else we're talking about, or are we gonna wrap this thing up?
I think we're gonna wrap it up, Brian Rumpel. We're running pretty late here. This was a long episode, so we're gonna go ahead and skedaddle unless you got anything else on the platter.
No, man, that's it. Make sure you guys head on over to all of our social media platforms, the KayFabe Smark across the board. Hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. And Eric, why don't you take us out of here?
Yeah, that's going to be it. So for you, Brian Rampa, for the resident snooze and pitbull, Stella Marie over there on the bed, and for myself, I've got nothing else to say but hooty hoo. We out the gates.